We are live. What is going on, everyone? Thank you all so very much for being here. Everyone that's tuning in at this time, really appreciate it. Anybody that's watching this replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. What's up, Jake? How are you?
Good. How are you? Could have been better, but so my prediction this sweep didn't happen, but it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah,
Sometimes we
it's
can't get
hard.
them all right, right? We can't all be
Exactly.
Tyler. We can't all be 100%.
Exactly. Hey, and look, it's one of those things. Like it's tough to sweep anybody. I mean, look, like the Celtics just lost to the Atlanta Hawks, right? Like most of these games very likely won't be sweeps. Denver probably sweeps Minnesota, but outside of that, like all the games will probably go 5, 6, 7 games. It's part of the game of basketball. I mean, you're talking playoff basketball. You're talking about the best teams in the league battling it out. And so it's one of those things where you put your best foot forward and you get it done. Look, it was a win for the Lakers. Lakers won, split the series, which is what they need to do. You beat the best home team at home game one. Game two was disappointing because it felt like a game that we could have and should have won, but we just didn't have it. And that's a concern, just because the lack of consistency, right? Like that's a real question mark. Like, can this team be consistent enough to get it done? Because I do think that I'm confident that they win this series. My original prediction was 6 games. I still think it'll probably be 6 games. I think the Lakers will win both games in LA. That'll put them up 3 games to 1. I think Memphis, there's probably that battle. They have their backs against the wall. They, have that super crazy game, and then Lakers close out in LA for game 6. That's what I was thinking from game one or before the series began, and that's kind of what it's shaping up as. Look, if they can win in 5, I'd love it. If the Lakers win both their home games and then win in Memphis again, which they've shown that they can do it, then that would be great. But it's just, again, it's so hard to win, and especially against, you got to remember, they're the 2 seed in the West, right? Yeah. They're the 2 seed, and a lot of those games were without Ja Morant. And from a net rating perspective, an offense, defensive perspective, Memphis is a better team without Ja Morant. Like, they just are. Now, it doesn't mean that they're capable of winning a chance. Like, they're not a contender without him, right? Yeah. They're good enough to beat some teams. They're good enough to get a game or two, stuff like that. But for them to like legitimately win a series or a title, you need Ja Morant. They're not, like, the metrics and everything show that they're better, but still, Ja Morant is the only guy on that team that can just go get you 30 to 40 a night, right? So that's the difference. But still, they're still a very good team, and they proved it. They showed up. They locked down. They were physical. They were a team that had their backs against the wall, and the Lakers looked like a team that were like, hey, after this game, we go home. So yeah. Hopefully they get the job done in LA. We'll find out tomorrow for game 3. And then game 4 is Monday, I believe. So, by the end of the day, Monday, we should know where this Laker team stands. And if they're 3-1, series is over. It's just a matter of, will it be over in 5? Will it be over in 6? But I still have all the confidence. What about you? How do you feel? Do you still have the confidence?
I still have all the confidence. I mean, we didn't get, it was 93 to 103. It's not like it was a, devastating, like, crazy 30-piece blowout loss. But I still have all the confidence. Ja Morant is out right now, and he is projected to be back next game, correct? I think.
They're still testing him, but apparently he's having a hard time catching the ball. There was a report that came out a couple hours ago. So my guess, and I said this like in the live show, people asked me. I said that if the Grizzlies won this game, which they did, that I think Ja will sit game 3, which is probably like if they would have lost, if they would have went down 0-2 heading to LA, I think Ja would have came back just to try it. But now that they got that,
well, yeah, you kind of have to at that point,
yeah, exactly. But now that they got that win, they can kind of afford to lose game 3. I mean, obviously they would love to go up 2-1 and get home court again. But if they lose game 3, the series isn't over. If they lose game 4, it probably is. But if they lose game 3, it's not the end of the world. You give Ja an extra like 3 days to rest his hand, and then he can come back for game 4, and then maybe you could try to steal that one in LA. That's was my guess, and that's probably how it'll go. He'll probably miss game 3, and then if they lose game 3, he'll be back for game 4. If they win game 3, then I think he might sit out. He might sit out game 4. I think it just depends on how it shapes up with this next game. Also, quick note, because I mean it does kind of pertain to Lakers because that means we won't have to face them. The Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, man, Kawhi Leonard missed game 3, and he's out for game 4. So that series is over. That series is done. And look, they were giving the Suns run for their money, but no Paul George, no Kawhi. If you're the Clippers at some point after this year, if you lose in the first round, Paul George is once again hurt, Kawhi Leonard once again hurt. You're load managing Kawhi Leonard all season long for him to be healthy for the playoffs, and then he gets to the playoffs and he can't stay healthy. I think you have to trade him. You have to trade Paul George.
Well, not only that, I feel like you got to blow your starting 5, at least your starters. You got to blow that part of your team. You got to blow it up. Like it's time. I think so.
Yeah.
Still trying to maintain the depth that you have. Like you're one of the deepest teams in the league, if not the deepest team in the league.
Yeah.
Like keep that. You know what I mean? But don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if I was them, I would look at because there's going to be some disgruntled star in the next years or in the next off season or whatever. Maybe it's even like Trae Young, right? Hey, we'll trade you Kawhi for Trae Young and a first. It's Kawhi, but at least Trae Young will be dependable. At least he'll be there. And then maybe you keep an eye on Paul George and see if maybe you could trade him. You'd still have the defense. You still have the depth. You'd still have everything. Trae Young, he's the best pick and roll point guard. He leads the league in assists. So you get that playmaker that you were looking for in Paul George. It might not be the worst thing in the world. You're going to lose something on defense, but you also gain. You basically keep the offense, and on top of that, you get you get some more playmaking. You get. I don't know. It's just I'm not saying it has to be him, but if you're the Clippers, you got to do something, right? And the reason I even bring this up is because that's the only team that's kind of that seems to have our number. Right? I mean, they've beaten us 11 straight times. Yeah. So, it's one of those things. But I do. I think that I think to steer it back to the Lakers, I think game 3 obviously is a huge one. I don't know exactly the number off the top of my head, but I know teams that win game 3 win it's 70% of the series. Something like that. So especially when a series is tied 1-1 and a team wins game 3, they usually win the series. So if you're the Lakers, you get that. You also have history on your side. LeBron is only lost 2 series when winning game 1. I expect guys to play better in LA, right? It's LA. You're home. Role guys usually play better at home than on the road. And on top of that, this is the first time since LeBron James has been a Laker that you can have a full stadium, right? Because the first year LeBron came, we missed the playoffs. The second year was the bubble year, so there were no fans. And then that following year, it was limited. It was limited capacity. They were only allowed 50% or whatever. So you're talking about a opportunity here. Kind of get your bearings, get yourself back together, win these 2 games, and that's probably it. You win the 2. All the Lakers have to do is win their home games the rest of the way. Memphis is one of the worst road teams in the league. They only won 16 road games. Now regular season isn't the same as playoffs, but I mean, there's some of that stuff usually translates, right? I mean, look at the Warriors.
But yeah, only I know what you mean, but only 16 like that. You know what I mean? I get it. Playoffs and regular are different, but you win 16 road games. That's you're pretty bad.
Yeah, but and that's my point. And that's my point. If it was something I don't know, they were, 22 19 on the road, something like that. It's like, yeah, okay, like they still won some, but no, they would have been what? They would have been 16 and 25, right? That's 41. Yeah,
Mhm.
16 and 25 on the road. Like it's not a very good road team, and you have to be able to win on the road to win championships and playoff series and stuff. And the Lakers proved it.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have to prove it again. If the Lakers can just maintain home court, I expect them to win Game 3. I wouldn't even be shocked if they win if they win pretty commandingly. Like I could see the Lakers winning Game 3 by like 15-20, like for real, because I think Anthony Davis is going to want to go in LA, is going to want to prove like, hey, that was just a bad game. I think LeBron James is going to understand how important this game is. So he's going to want to so I think he really pushes it. I think role guys, because they'll be home, they'll step up. I think Memphis, they're going to have to make that adjustment being the road team, and they're not a good road team. Like everything's just set up for the Lakers to win Game 3 by like handily. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if they win by like 30. I mean that's hard to do in the playoffs. So that's why like my guess is probably somewhere in like the 15 range, but I wouldn't be surprised the Lakers are up like 22-23 at some point. And they go on a little run, but ultimately the Lakers just hold on and win by like 15, or maybe it's like 20 late, and then garbage time they end up winning by like 12 or 10 or something like that. But really they blew them out. Like I could see that happening. Game 4, I think, is going to be the game where you're really going to know what both teams have, right?
Yeah.
Because I think Game 4 will be like the Lakers have an opportunity to put this away for the most part. I mean, they still would have to win one more, but they should. And then Memphis is going to have their backs against the walls. Can they hold on and, not fall behind 3-1 and have the series essentially be over? So I think that's going to be the kind of Game 4, I think, will be the game that's like really telling. But look, the Lakers have to they have to show up. They have to do their job. They've proven that they're the better team. They've looked like the better team. And even as bad, I mean, we played about as bad of a game as we could have in Game 2, and we still, with like 2.5 minutes left, we're right there. Like
That's true.
Literally, we're down what, 6 with like 2.5 minutes left. Like you're literally 2 buckets away, and the game's tied. 3 stops, 3 buckets, you win the game. And so it's like, so I mean, it gave me confidence that like, hey, we're clearly the better team, but you have to. The better team doesn't always win, right? We've seen teams that are clear. Matchups are a thing. Momentum's a thing. There's a lot. The reason you play 7 games is so that way, things usually balance out, and more often than not, the better team usually wins. But the Lakers still lack some experience. I mean, mostly everyone has played some form of playoffs, but they're not a team that has like this incredible playoff pedigree outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis. I mean, but LeBron has more. I saw this stat. LeBron has more playoff games than the entire Memphis team combined, which is pretty interesting.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Like LeBron has something like, I think it was like 283, and like the Grizzlies have like 219 or something like that.
Well, that's what happens when you go to 10 straight back-to-back finals.
Yeah, 10 NBA finals. Yeah. But it's just the Lakers know what's at hand. Lakers know what they got to do. Now it's just going out and doing it. You have the opportunity to take a 3-1 lead if you win these 2 home games. I mean, obviously 1 game at a time. Go win Game 3. If you win Game 3, get it done in Game 2. But we can't have these lackluster performances. Like the problem is that the Lakers love to kind of just play around the first half and then lock down the second half. And we've seen them a lot of times. They'll still win that game, right? They'll be down 15 at halftime. They'll come back and they'll win by 10. And it's like, man, I mean, look at the first game in Memphis. We outscored them by like 20. We were down at halftime by 6. We were up. We outscored them by like 25 points or whatever it was, or 21 points. We outscored them by 21 points in the second half, right? So the Lakers are absolutely capable of like flipping that switch, so to speak. But you don't want to develop these habits, because the problem is that you're going to develop those habits and then you're going to end up playing a team like, the Phoenix Suns, or the, the Denver Nuggets, or
Yeah.
even in the next round, like Sacramento Kings. Like, like if you play the Warriors or the Kings, if you have one of those lackluster games like that, they're going to blow you out.
Well, yeah,
You're
they're
not,
just gonna, yeah, they're just gonna
yeah,
find the
you're,
holes, eat it, like eat the defense
yeah.
alive. I do have a question. What do you? Because you bring up a good point. I think, and I don't want to necessarily target specific players, but I do want to ask you about two players in particular. Just for the last game, what was your opinion of Schroeder's and AD's performance just from the last game?
Um, they both were kind of well, AD was a factor on the offensive end, not so much. But here, let's start with Schroeder. Like Schroeder, we're still kind of waiting for that Schroeder game, And I'm not talking about a game where he scores 30. I'm talking about just like his ability to kind of go on these stretches,
Yeah,
where he'll have a stretch where he'll make 6 straight, 8 straight points, something like that, or down the stretch he'll hit a couple shots or play some solid defense. Like Schroeder, these last 2 games has kind of just been out there.
yeah,
Like I felt like he hasn't really had an impact, even on the defensive end. He hasn't really had like a significant impact. So I have those concerns with that, but he's a guy with experience. I expect him to kind of pick it back up and get things back
yeah.
together. Anthony Davis, defensively, he's been absolutely brilliant. Defensively, I mean,
Oh, of course, yeah,
these last 2 games might be the best defensive games we have seen from him. I mean, absolute clinic. Like the guy's
yeah,
been incredible defensively. Game 1, we saw him be able to put the defense with the offense, and we saw what that looked like. We got the win. But game 2, he just couldn't get the defense. He couldn't get the offense going. He had the defense, couldn't get the offense. Now, there was a lot of leniency on the Memphis
yeah.
Grizzlies side. I mean, there was like 3 plays where Anthony Davis was literally getting pulled on and like pulled down, and he was having to fight through it. Like I understand fighting through some contact, but there's got to be some type of whistle. There has to be some type of order.
There, that's what I'm telling you, bro. But bro, if you look at it, it's across all of like the NBA playoff games. It's the refs are being, I don't want to say consistently bad, but they're being consistently like with their lack of calls. It's been interesting to watch. Hey, like it kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like they're going back to the days of like 02 and 01, or like like when the Lakers were on that like three-peat. It's really I don't know, but like just because the playoff basketball, they're not calling what they would call in the normal season. And
that's always playoff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that's by design, but it seems like this year is so much. I'm not worse, but
There's
what I mean.
definitely there's even in all the series, there has been a clear home advantage more so than I can remember. Like there's always kind of like the home whistle period. Even in the regular season, there's usually one team that the
superstar whistle.
Yeah, and the superstar.
Unless you're LeBron and AD, because they don't. They don't even get a superstar whistle anymore.
Austin Reeves gets the superstar whistle more than LeBron and AD do, but
they give it to Ja. They give it to Ja a lot. But
yeah, you gotta make the adjustments. You gotta fight through it. I mean, Anthony Davis had some good looks that he usually makes that just didn't fall. Right? It's not solely on the refs. Guys got to play better. Like that to me, that's what it boils down to. Like game 1, we were pretty much in control and dominated that game start to finish. We were the better team 40 out of 48 minutes. And outside of that second quarter, we were in control. And like I've said, dominate. And I've had people be like, "Oh, that they didn't dominate. It was closer than what." They dominated that game. There's different levels of domination. Like there's like back of the barn, take you behind the woodshed and just beat the dog shit out of you. And then there's just like dominance in the sense of like the Lakers imposed their will. The Grizzlies had no answer. The Lakers, every time that they wanted something, they got it. They controlled and dominated that game from essentially start to finish outside of that second quarter. But it comes into playing a full 48 minutes, which is something that the Lakers seem to lack. The ability to play 48 straight minutes. Now, is some of that just, lack of experience? Is some of that jitters? Is some of that chemistry, lack of chemistry, right? There could be some, which is why I think the more the Lakers play in the playoffs and the farther they advance, the better I think they will get, right? Because if they beat the Grizzlies, by the time we get into the second round, that be the Kings or the Warriors, you should have your rust already off. You should have those jitters should be gone. You should have an understanding of what your game plan is. You should have an understanding of like what guys' roles is. Like everything that are questions going into the playoffs, all should be answered by the second round. So my hope is that come the second round, they won't have these lackluster performances, and they'll better be able to play a full 48 minutes. Now, runs happen, games happen. It's part of the game of basketball, right? Basketball is essentially which team goes on more runs, right? And but still, like there's things that you can control. There's things that you can do that just clearly didn't get done in game 2. They weren't as aggressive. They didn't match the physicality. They weren't taking good shots at times. Guys weren't hitting shots. I mean, we had guys that had wide open looks. They usually knocked that down and just did it, right? But it's more so than that. Like, okay, your shot's not falling. Go draw contact, get to the line, attack the basket, be aggressive, be physical. LeBron James taking those step back threes, right? And shoot. I mean, I don't mind him taking a couple threes in stretches because if he starts knocking them down, it opens things up, right? And he wants to conserve his energy. That's a way you do it. You just take a couple threes. So I don't mind it. But when half of
he can hit them. I mean,
he can. He's a streaky shooter. But when half of your shots, when you're taking 16 shots a game and 8 of them are threes, like that's not your game. But he's still shooting 50% from the field because literally the other 8 shots are all just buckets. Because they literally cannot stop him. And I'm not saying he has to go every single possession, just go down, put his head down, and get to the basket.
Well, he can. At this point, he can.
27-year-old LeBron probably could have. This LeBron probably not so much. But still, it's shot selection. It's, design a play. Like if you want to take a couple shots, get a good look. Where's your spot? You have a guy in D'Angelo Russell, right? That's a point guard. Put the ball in his hands. You go get to your spot and play off the ball, and then let D'Lo go and create and find you in the spot where you're most comfortable. Every player has a spot where they shoot and feel the best in that spot, So if it's the corner, all right, fine. Run some sets where LeBron trails into the corner, and then D'Lo or Schroeder or AD out of the double team or whatever are kicking out to him in the corner. If it's that high wing, okay, fine. Then same thing.
I was saying the wings are his spot, like on both sides.
Yeah. But that's my point. Like pick and choose your spots. Like he'll get the ball, hold it, and then just pull up. And it's like,
and that's what we talked about. We've seen it this season more than any other season. It's bad.
You gotta, and again, I mean, it's part of it. It's definitely part of it is his age. Definitely part of it is just him trying to conserve and be able to stay on the court 48 minutes. But regardless, outside of him, because I mean, he's still been great. It's not to say he's not great. I mean, the guy had a great game. Him and Rui were the only ones that showed up game 2. But other guys got to step up. Like D'Lo has to step up. Like D'Lo's supposed to be the third guy, and he's playing as if he's the 15th. Like we need him. And I'm not saying he has to go out and get this 30, but he should. We need consistency from him, which is the problem, right? You have the Timberwolves game. That one, terrible game. Started off in the first Grizzlies game bad, but then really picked it up and was great. Gave us 19 points. And then this game, once again, was just terrible. But at least in the Memphis game, the Minnesota game, at least in the Minnesota game, yes, he shot terribly, but he still had like 8 assists, still had like several boards. He didn't turn the ball over, and he still did things and impacted the game. In game 2, he had like 7 rebounds, which was cool. and he had 4 assists, but he also had 3 turnovers. So you basically just nullified. So like you were a liability on the court rather than a benefit. So it's just guys need to step up. Rui, I expect to continue to play the way that he's been playing, just because he's a mismatch for this team. They don't really have anybody that can stop him or slow him down if he's being aggressive, if he's getting to his spots. Anthony Davis, he's got to find his shot. Anthony Davis has got to figure it out. Again, he had some shots that he usually hits that he just missed, but I need to see more from him. I need to see him do better. And then, we're still waiting for that Schroeder game. Still waiting for that Beasley game. But also when it comes
to
Beasley,
he needs to step up.
Yeah, but also, it's not even just that. Like, it's hard to step up when, you're playing 10 minutes a game and you're only getting 3 shots, right? So
last game he played. Yeah, he only played 13 minutes. I hear you. It's not a lot.
So,
find your rhythm, especially if you're a streaky shooter, you have
to.
You need the time in the game to be able to kind of like find your shot. Obviously, you take a couple shots, not working, find your spot, move around, come off screens, whatever you need to do. But I don't think 13 minutes is going to be enough. I don't know. Maybe if we can make room and bump him up
or
to
in
like 18 minutes, something like that.
Well, or if you're gonna have him in there for 13 minutes, call his number and actually run some plays. Because I do think in 13 minutes he can go knock down 3 or 4 threes, but you got to actually get him looks. Mm-hmm. Like you have to actually him just kind of being out and floating around. And you just going and you just never even really looking at him unless it's like late in the shot clock or something like that. And you just throw it to him, hoping that he can knock it down or something. Like how can anyone be effective in that? You're getting 13 minutes a game, but you're not even getting the ball. And then everyone's like, oh, Beasley's trash. And it's like, he's not trash. And Beasley was great defensively in game 2.
Yeah.
Because I did the live stream where we were talking about it, and I just kept calling it out. He was making great reads. He was staying in front of his guy. Beasley was great defensively in game 2. And he even had like a nice deflection. Like you gotta put him in positions to have success, right? If you don't put him in positions to have success, how is he going to have success? So that's a big thing. That's a big problem. But I do think that they can, what happened? Hang on. Something happened to the stream?
No. All right.
It looked like YouTube just crashed. Hang on, let me see if that got fixed. There we go. That was weird. Yeah, like it looked like YouTube like crashed the stream for a second, but it's back. It came back up. It says that there was a server error 503, which is usually a YouTube thing. Usually it's a YouTube technical difficulty. But perfect. Thank you, George. He said stream is okay. Good. Just making sure because it said that there was a 503 error, which usually you get those when YouTube's acting up. But back to my point is, we need guys in general to be able to step up. We need guys to be able to it can't just be 2 guys night in and night out or 3 guys night in and night out. This team is best when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 guys all stepping up. And I'm not saying 2, 3, 4, 5 guys all have to get you 20, but if Rui gives you 15, if Reeves gives you 15, if Schroeder gives you 15, if D'Lo gives you 15, Beasley gives you say 9, and whatever, right? Troy Brown gives you like 6. Now all you need is like LeBron and AD to go get you like 20 each, which they should be able to, and you're gonna win every game.
Yeah,
you're gonna win every game. Like it's gonna be fine. So,
that's how they beat us. If you kind of look at the Grizzlies, everybody just kind of did their part. But I know what you mean. It's just more so the consistency, and everybody needs to do their part. Like everybody needs to be bought in, locked in. And it's like when we have players taking nights off, it's like it's not good because then we lose games like this. I do agree with you. We should have won the game, hands down. We could have won that game. all we had to do is really come out and do essentially what we did
I
similar
mean,
to the first game.
we just needed one or two guys to, like, if D'Lo gives you 10 instead of 5, and AD gives you like 17 instead of 13, you win that game. You know, like literally, you win that game. So it's just we weren't far behind, even as poorly as we played, which again is what gives me some level of confidence because it's like even on our worst nights, we're still good enough to at least compete with them, right?
Yeah.
And our defense picked up. We made adjustmts. Troy Brown was solid on Baines, right? Like Desmond Baines was killing us, and then Ham put Troy Brown in the game, and Troy Brown was on Baines, and Baines like didn't score, but then Tillman started scoring. Like their guys were stepping up, their guys were making the adjustments, their guys were making the changes, and our guys just weren't matching that energy. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you got to credit Memphis, right? Back was against the wall. They had their struggles in that game, but they did enough to get it done. Where the Lakers just
And they
didn't.
had their rally for jaw game, I guess. You know what I mean? Just because,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
obviously he's out, he's injured, so they felt like they
yeah,
needed to come back with some fire, and they did that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really think they get another game. I think that was their only game of the series. They're a good
yeah.
team, but
They,
I
they,
think that was
they
it.
are. I mean, they're the number 2 seed in the West for a reason, right? They're the best
Yeah,
home team in the league for a reason. It's just, but we've shown that we can be the better team. I don't have concerns about losing this series. I really don't. Like, I really believe we're going to win this series, but you can make things difficult, right? Like we should win this series in 5 or 6, but you play around too much. All of a sudden, you look up and you're in a game 7, and it's like come on, man, and anything can happen in one game.
yeah,
I absolutely believe if the Lakers just play their game, they're gonna win this game. I mean, they might not lose another game, and like, look, they lose game. Like teams lose games, right? Even when the Lakers won the championship, they lost game 1 to Portland, didn't lose again. Lost game 1 to Houston, didn't lose again. Right? Like this same thing. You won game 1, you lose game 3, they very well could not lose again. Right? And in this in 5, series is over, and now they're getting ready for the next opponent. That very well could happen. But can't have performances like these. You need guys, especially at least from Anthony Davis, right? Like Anthony Davis has historically been a great playoff player. So I don't
yeah,
really have too much concern with AD, but teams are doing everything they can to really try to contain AD as best as possible. They're trying to keep him from having that monster game because they know what that tone is. But also, I think that you got to get Anthony Davis going because this team clearly feeds off of AD. Right? Because when you get somebody going, it gets everybody else going. Like missing shots is contagious.
it is.
You see
But so is
everybody
knocking down shots as well.
exactly. But that was going to be my next point. Is like missing shots is contagious because you see everybody, they start missing shots, and then that hoop goes from this to this, and it looks like you're trying to throw a basketball into a cup, and it's really difficult. But just like when shots start falling and you see things going in, it opens up. It goes from this to this, and you just got this massive hoop, and now it's like throwing a rock into the ocean. Like it's this big difference. And that's why I think it's important. Like game 1, who was it? Austin Reeves scored our first 7 points. Like he got going. And then because he got going, it got other guys going, right? D'Lo, like we tried to run it through D'Lo. D'Lo just didn't have it. So then
Yeah,
we ran it through Reeves. Reeves scored like 7 straight points or whatever. And then all of a sudden, D'Lo started hitting shots. And then, AD started hitting shots. And then LeBron started hitting shots. And then, it becomes this snowball effect. So you got to get guys going. And like LeBron, too. Like I expect him for game 3. I understand it for game 1. I understand it for game 2. But game 3 is so important. I'd like to see LeBron get established early. Like LeBron likes to, especially in his later years, he likes to get other guys going in the first quarter. So that way he doesn't have to do so much. So he can kind of conserve himself for the end. But I think, at least in this series, maybe you can do that in other series, but at least in this series, I think if LeBron gets established early and guys start knocking down shots, I think you won't need LeBron in the fourth quarter because I
Mhm.
think we'll be able to create enough separation to where we just got to coast, and then LeBron can coast in that like tail end of the second half or tail end of the second quarter and tail end of the third quarter, and now you're just coasting. Guys are feeling good about themselves because we've seen it. When Anthony Davis gets going early, guys pick it up. When LeBron gets going early, guys pick it up. So we need LeBron and AD to be those establishers that get going early and build the confidence for everybody else. And I think we'll have success because trying to get D'Lo going early, if he doesn't have it, it just brings everybody down. Or
Yeah.
Austin Reeves. We try to get Austin Reeves going. If he doesn't have it, it brings everybody down. So your two superstars that you have that are capable of just going and getting it, we need to have that happen, right? Like if you like let's say if you want to get D'Lo going right early on, because
Yeah.
that seems to be the game plan. Get the ball to D'Lo and Reeves, let them create and make some shots, build up their confidence, and then have LeBron James and Anthony Davis just kind of trickle in between. Which also would take, if they get going, it would also take pressure off of Anthony Davis because now
Yeah.
they can't double or hammer Davis the way that the guards can, right? But it's but like if they don't have it going, that's when I think LeBron needs to go. Like if D'Lo starts 1 of 4 and Reeves is like 2 and 5, all right, enough trying to get them going. Let me get going. Let me establish, and then we can come back to them because they might have that confidence again. Like okay,
Yeah.
there's the ball. See it through the hoop. Same thing with game one. Like it's not a coincidence. And I mean, I was on a live stream when this happened, and I literally called it out. I said, D'Angelo Russell needs to go generate a foul, get to the foul line, and knock down some free throws because that's how he'll get. You see the ball go in the hoop, and like literally, like 30 seconds later, that's exactly what he did. He like got to the foul line, got the free throw, knocked down both free throws, and I was like, good, that's what he needs to do. Start seeing the ball through the hoop, and he like shot 60% the rest of the way. Like the guy like missed like 2 shots the rest of the way, and that's because you need to see that. You need it. Sometimes you just need that visual of the ball going through the hoop. But when
Yeah.
LeBron is shooting, 1 of 8 from three, and AD is like 2 of 13 from the field, and D'Lo's 1 of 9 or whatever he was, and Reeves is like 5 of 12, or and you just nobody's not getting the ball in the hoops. Nobody's seeing it. Nobody's visualizing it. Like consistently. But so that's an adjustment that I hope that they make for game 3. I really do. Um,
Hopefully. Oh, hopefully. We need that. We do. We need that. I hope. But that's the thing, though. Like I hope. Like I don't know. I hear what you're saying. Like get LeBron and AD established early, but like LeBron just needs to come out with that like that energy. Like LA game 3. Like this is like you know what? This is my game. This is my stadium.
yeah,
he really needs to come out with like that like statement game. And I agree. Everybody else can kind of like you said trickle in, but like him and AD. Um, and also too, I feel like we didn't. I would like to see them run the pick and roll a little bit more, like more than they
yeah,
did last game a little bit. Like it, we know it works. Like we've proven it works. I just feel like we gotta kind of just kind of stick to the fundamentals. Really, like get back to the basics. Honestly, get back to the things that work for us, but at the same time, make adjustments according to who we're playing. You know what I mean? So,
of course. Also, too, real quick, we should touch on this while, and then we can dive into the chat. But did you see Dillon Brooks' comments about LeBron James?
no, I did not.
Because they won. It's hilarious he didn't have anything to say after game 1, but after game 2, he basically said LeBron is old and that he doesn't respect anybody unless they drop 40. But when you look at LeBron's stats against Dillon Brooks, um, Dillon Brooks might as well not even be there. Like he's a non-factor. But here's the thing. Obviously, you're poking the bear. Obviously, you're putting fire, gasoline on LeBron James's fire for him to pick it up. But that could also be the game plan. right? Because this Lakers team is better when LeBron is another guy as opposed to take over LeBron.
Yeah.
So there is a big possibility that Dillon Brooks is saying that to bait LeBron James into buying in and going, okay, I'm gonna drop 40 on you, because again, when LeBron this year puts up 30, 40 points, it's amazing how much the Lakers lose because other guys aren't getting involved and it just becomes this like mess. So I'm
Well, then
hoping
you
that
create like 10 turnovers or, more realistic, like six. He'll do like a 6 turnover game just trying to do that. You know what I mean?
yeah, trying to do
And
too
then,
much. And so
yeah.
my hope is that he doesn't take the bait. Like I don't mind him. Like I said, go get early. I mean, look, LeBron can go get 40 points and still play within the team, right? I mean, he steps on the court, he gets 20, right? So like if he wants to, go get the first 10 points for the Lakers and then get everyone established. And then in the second quarter, go get another 10, get everyone established. Third quarter, go get another 10, get everyone established. And then the fourth quarter, unless you're up 30, go and get somebody else, like, so it's one of those things like this team is best when everything is clicking. And we do need guys to remain confident too, though, and we don't want guys just standing around watching LeBron James, right? You
Yeah.
want guys. I'd also like to see more movement.
That's
Like,
scary when that gets like that's really scary when
yeah,
we have everybody trying to like depend on LeBron. Like that's why game one was so beautiful because we had guys really coming to their own. It's like, hey, Rui, you're hot. Let's get it to you. Reeves, you're hot. Let's get it to you. You know what I mean? And then you got LeBron just, hey, I'm here if you need me. You know what I mean? Like that's a beautiful thing to see when you have your two superstars. Like, hey, y'all got it, but like we're here if you need us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
But and that's what you want, like,
yeah.
But I would, like I said, I would like to see more movement. I'd like to see guys play more team basketball. Like, I'd like to see less of like the LeBron isolation pull up three, 20 seconds into the with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Like again,
I
I'm not
know when you got
against.
AD on a mismatch in the post,
Yeah,
like
I'm not
give me the
against.
ball.
Yeah, I'm not against AD shooting the three, or not AD, LeBron. Not against LeBron shooting the three at all. Like he needs to. He needs to shoot a handful of threes a game. Because again, if he's knocking them down, then that just opens up so much. But he's got to find that balance better. If he doesn't have it, put your head down. I mean, he's shooting 50% again, and half of his shots are threes, but he's like 1 of 8. So if he's 1 of 8, that means he's like 7 of 8 when he puts his head down and gets to the basket. So
I was gonna
it's
say, not
just,
to mention, he's one of the best finishers in the league. Like
yeah,
maybe of
easily.
the history of all like of the history of the whole NBA.
Given his
Like,
size and strength there, yeah. I mean, you
well,
might you
yeah,
might be
yeah.
right. It's just,
No, he's
again,
not
it's
super tricky with it, but like when it comes to like just pure finishing and even converting in the Adam one a lot of times, he's one of the best drivers in the basketball to ever
yeah,
do it. You know what I mean?
without a doubt, without a doubt. So I don't know. Again, I trust LeBron. I trust this team. I expect them to win these 2 home games, and we do that, we're in business, right? And then we just got to close out, and all of a sudden you're in round 2. So, but let's dive into this chat real quick, unless there was something else specific you wanted to talk about.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay, let's do it. Brooks, a scrub. Yeah, facts. Lakers in 6, right? The Grizzlies and Lakers have been 2 of the better teams since the deadline, which is true. This series may decide the Western champs. You may be right. You actually may be right. Seriously. It's very possible that either of these teams could come out the West. Can't wait for the next game, likewise. And it's a 7 p.m. game. So that should bode well for the Lakers as well.
7
Lakers
p.m.
versus
your
Grizzlies.
time, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, 10 Eastern. So it'd be, what, 9 your time? Something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
9 p.m. your time. But also something else worth noting too is that you got to keep in mind that like the travel, the Warriors even mentioned this last year. The travel, because the Memphis Grizzlies are essentially an East Coast team. I mean, they are an East Coast team, but they're in the West. So like the travel between LA and Memphis is more than anywhere else, right? Like if Lakers end up playing Golden State or the Sacramento Kings, they could take a bus to to the stadium, right? Like they don't even they'll fly, but they don't have to, right? There's a big difference like in mileage and stuff like that. Like it's there's wear and tear. But um, anyway, Lakers versus Grizzlies odds. Lakers odds to win 183. Grizzlies odds is plus 165. Spread Lakers -4 total 221.5. The officiating crew for the game will be led by crew chief Josh Tibbins. Oh, that's not bad. He will be joined by Courtney Kirkland and by Justin Van Dome. It's not terrible. Tibbins is a 14-year-old, 14-year NBA vet and served as crew chief for 32 games, 22, 23 over the sample size. The home team won 43.8 of the time, and which was the lowest mark in the association. Van Dyke on crew for 58 games this past NBA season. In those games, the home team won only 43.1% of the time. But I'd be curious to see which teams they actually played. I get what you're saying, that in other words, the road team favors in this game. But like the difference is, like, were they reffing the Minnesota games where, like, Minnesota's getting blown out? It depends on the teams too. Good evening. What's going on, Blood? Appreciate you, Blood. Lakers will handle business. I expect a big game from everyone, especially Bron and AD. Austin Reeves is well known for having LeBron's back, so I expect big game from him too. Yeah, I expect guys to bounce back, play better, be more efficient, more effective. What's going on? Appreciate you, the other Fish channel. Salute. Thoughts on the coaching staff? Players not targeting Triple J. He led the NBA in fouls per game. If they target him, that would be a KO punch. The problem is that they're just not calling fouls on Triple J. Like, I mean, it was blatant. Even like channels like Laker Nation called it out, and we're like, and they were like, it looks like Triple J has a different whistle than everyone else, because it's true. It has looked that way. Triple J is not getting the whistle that, like, Anthony Davis and anyone else is. Triple J, again, there was several occasions where Triple J was literally pulling on LeBron or on Anthony Davis. There's one where he's pulling on his shirt as he's like trying to fight for, like, right in front of the ref, and nothing was called. It's hard to get somebody into foul trouble when refs aren't calling the fouls, right?
Yeah.
And part of that might be the refs know that, like, hey, he gets in foul trouble a lot, but it's strange that Karl Anthony Towns leads the league in fouls, and he almost fouled out of the last game, right? But Triple J is number 2 in the league in fouls, and the guy hasn't had more than 3 in the first 2 series. Like, it's just strange. Like, all of a sudden the guy's just not fouling anybody when he like leads the league in fouls. But also game 2, how much was, again, I don't believe games are fixed, but I do believe that whistles dry up. You had the announcement that he was the defensive player of the year, right? He's coming out. He had a great first defensive game. Do you really want him fouling out in game 2 when he was just announced defensive player of the year?
I'm really glad that you bring this up, because here's the thing: the NBA's entertainment and is a big business, and it's part of the show business. So, like, I'm glad that you brought that up, because at the end of the day, like, they're trying to sell tickets. You know what I mean? So, there is something there, but I do agree with you that the games aren't fixed. That's not what I'm saying, but I do agree that, like, I
don't think games are fixed, but there are some whistles that get
and the association they may have the refs, like, meeting with their association. The NBA may sit the refs down and say, hey, look, we got these 2 teams playing. Lessen your whistle.
Refs do that too. So, like, they have before games, they have like a briefing where they basically say, like, we're looking out for this, be lenient on this, blah blah blah. So, just saying, he wins Defensive Player of the Year, and then all of a sudden that guy can't get a foul to save his life.
And as I mentioned, refs talk to players more than we think. Like, on the court, they talk to players.
They have their little back and forth. I think Beasley is the answer. Malik Beasley makes more threes per game than any other active member on the Lakers, knocks down shots from beyond the arc at a clip of 2.9 per contest. I think Beasley, but again, you got to run, I mentioned this earlier, you got to actually run sets for Beasley. Like, I do believe Beasley can be a huge factor for the Lakers in this playoff run, but I
was going to say, this just may not be his series, though. You know what I mean? Not with this team.
Yeah, but this series is probably as good as any, and
That's true.
you need to get, and you would want to get him going. You would want to get him established and building confidence for the next series. But again, like it's hard to knock down 3 or 4 threes a game when you're only getting 3 shots a game. You basically have to go. You basically have to go perfect from the field if you're gonna keep your average. Like so,
Well, you
I'd
need at
like
least
to
three
see them.
shots to get going. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying he has to go for. I'm not saying he has to go for 10, but
Yeah.
I mean there's been like 3 of the last like 4 or 5 games. Beasley has shot basically 50% from three, and they just pulled him out. Like there was that one game where he was 2 of 3 from three, and he missed his first three and then made his next two, and then they just didn't put him back in the game. And it was like, so when he's playing great, you take him out, and when he's playing poorly, you leave him in. That's kind of what it seems like. But Beasley, like Beasley was great defensively game two. I mean, he was really good defensively game two, like surprisingly good game two. So I would rather see, like, if he's playing that level of defense, and on top of that level of defense, if you can get him some looks, I think he could just be such a huge factor for the Lakers. I really do. I think he could be
Yeah.
massive,
A true
and it'd be
3 and
nice
D
to get
player.
him going. I mean, he still has the injury, so we know that for a fact. If Lakers got to depend on Beasley, they might be in trouble. Although he is due for a hot shooting night. I don't think it's about depending on Beasley. I think it's just more so getting him going. It opens up so much more. Not just that, if he's knocking down shots, it makes it harder to double team LeBron and AD and guys like that, because now, if they're double teaming him, you can run sets where Beasley's man has to be the one that they double team with. And now that guy's stuck, he can't. Or you have the slasher, and then now you got an easy layup. Like it's easier to make the adjustments. It'll be difficult for us to win the NBA championship, but impossible. I mean, it is for every team, right? Every team has a difficult road. It's never easy. D'Lo definitely needs to step up immediately. I have confidence in him. I do too. I think he'll be fine. No way AD, D'Lo, Austin are all going to have a bad game again, but Troy Brown needs to be set. Troy Brown's been really good. Again, I mentioned it earlier.
Defensively.
Baines scored like 10 straight points against us, and then Darvin Ham put Troy Brown on him, and he didn't score again till Troy Brown was out of the game. Literally, like, and again, I was on a live stream. I kept screaming. I was literally screaming at the TV, like, switch Troy Brown on Baines, because they had Schroeder on Baines, and Baines was just abusing Schroeder. And I kept saying, make that switch. Lakers called a timeout. After the timeout, they made that switch, and Baines didn't score again. Troy Brown has been huge for this Lakers team because Baines was killing us. I mean, killing us. D'Lo's career playoff is 15 points per game on 34% field goal shooting. Had to round up to get those numbers. I would say that D'Lo has seen is the D'Lo in the playoffs. Not necessarily. Look, he was terrible with Timberwolves last season, but if you actually watch that Timberwolves series, D'Lo was basically non-existent, and it wasn't even his doing. It was the game plan. Not to mention, he basically saved them in the play-in game by going off down the stretch and closing that game out for them. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even have been in the playoffs. And then if you look at his stats with the Nets, he was much better in the Nets. So I don't know. It's hard to really judge D'Lo because, again, I'm not saying he's going to shoot, because he's shooting 50% from the field, 42% from three with the Lakers this year. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but will he shoot 34%? I don't think so. I think he'll be better than that. I think it'll be closer to what we saw in game one, where game one he shot like 43, 44%, something like that. That's probably my guess, which is fine. I mean, if he can just do that, that's great. The Memphis didn't win that game. Lakers lost that game. Agreed. The play where LeBron doesn't run out on contests or just misses coverage altogether is really being attacked by Memphis. Yes, true. Yeah, but you should know what I like about D'Lo. Add D'Lo, AD D'Lo, Austin, Dennis, and Malik all had bad games. That won't happen again. That's guaranteed. These are all pretty consistent players. Agreed. They'll be okay. I've been watching his interviews, and I think he's making the right approach. Mentally, he just needs to step up. You talk about D'Lo? Yeah, I think D'Lo will be fine. I really do. Let's see. D'Lo is 12 point per game in the playoffs. Y'all expect too much. Yeah. I think he'll be. I don't need him to, like I said, I don't need him to go get 30. Just go get me 15 to 17 a game. We only needed one guy other than LeBron and Rui to have a good game, and we would have won that game. Agreed.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
He does have a short playoff career, so not a ton to look into. D'Lo can't give you 10 when he plays that bad. He really might need to be benched. His shots were bad, and his defense was dog crap. His defense was bad.
I agree with what you're saying, but you can't bench D'Lo. I don't think
D'Lo provides too much beyond just scoring. D'Lo can be big. He can produce. I wouldn't be surprised if he gives us 20 plus next game. I wouldn't be surprised either. I don't understand why Bamba doesn't play. Obviously, Ham doesn't know much about Bamba. His career stats tell you in 36 minutes of play, he would average a double-double, 16 and 11. Per 36, though, is very misleading. There are guys that sit on the bench that their per 36 are like 40, 20, and 20. Like, just by adjusted. Mo Bamba is not a good matchup at all this series. Now, if we end up playing Sacramento, throw him on Alex Lynn. I think that'd be fine. If we end up playing Denver, I think you throw him in. This set, he's not good disciplined defensively. He blocks shots. People are always like, but he's a shot blocker. There's more to defense than just shot blocking. He's also averaging like 3 fouls in 9 minutes per game. And the way that Triple J has been getting that whistle, Mo Bamba will foul out in the first 5 minutes of that game. Like, it's just this is just a bad matchup for Mo Bamba. He doesn't provide any offense outside of shooting the 3 ball. So unless he's hot, it isn't like. And who are you playing him over? You're not playing him over Rui. You're not playing him over AD. You're not playing him over LeBron. So who else? You're not playing him over Vanderbilt. So then, like, where does he play? Memphis is small right now. They're playing small, and Anthony Davis is having a hard time against Tillman and Triple J. You think Mo Bamba's going to be able to stop him? No. Like, that's why he's not playing. Braun knows what he needs to do to win, but he pissed me off taking the backseat early. Yeah, I agree. Ham has a guard fetish. He doesn't have a guard fetish. He's been fine. He's been great since, earlier on, but we only had a team full of guards. Kind of hard not to run 3-4 guard sets when all you have are 6'1" guards on your team. Brooks is the machine. Facts. We forgot about Lonnie Walker. Is stupid. We could have used his scoring in game 2. So since the trade, Lonnie Walker is shooting 39% from the field and 29% from 3. He's our worst defensive player. And on top of that, he's had one 20-point game. And other than that, he's been absolute garbage. So,
but in his defense, though, he hasn't had, other than those few games when we had some of our stars out, he wasn't getting the playing time like he was, though. You know what I mean? So, like,
yeah, because he's not as good. He's not as good as everyone else. Like, he's just not.
Well,
like,
no, I agree, and that's why he's not getting the play time. But because he's not getting the play time, of course his numbers are going to drop. I don't know.
But what I'm saying is, because my problem is people think like, oh, just throw Lonnie in, he's going to have a great game. Like, but he hasn't. Darvin Ham has.
Well, he's not that automatic. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, Darvin Ham has thrown him in on several occasions. Not in the playoffs yet, but like in the regular season, thrown him in on several occasions, and he's just bad. He doesn't. He doesn't
give him a look. Give him a few minutes.
No, you keep the rotation as is, because Beasley's been really good defensively this series. He's making passes. He's making great passes and helping swing the ball. Lonnie Walker, he gets tunnel vision at times.
Well, I was gonna say that's where he lacks, especially on the defensive end. That's gonna suck.
The lack of playmaking. Now, Lonnie Walker's more athletic. He can do more on the offensive end, but he's a terrible defender. And Beasley's upside is just greater. Like even in limited shooting with Beasley, he's still shooting at like 34% or whatever, 35%. And that's on and that's just solely shooting threes. And he's done a good job in these 2 games of putting his head down and getting back, getting to the rim. He's done a really good job of that. 50% field goals when being guarded by Dillon Brooks. Facts. That LeBron scoring over 30 stat is so flawed. He was carried a team without ID. Yeah, that's a good point. The Knicks are killing Cleveland. Yeah, last I checked, they were smacking them early. Before I came on the stream, Denver beating Minnesota by 6.5. All right, interesting. Shaq is the GOAT, man. had teams filling their roster GD players just to rotate fouls. Yeah, seriously, they were literally. I mean, he's the most dominant player ever in the history of ever. That's why we need Mo to give us a hard flagrant on Triple J and use his seconds on the refs. A guy that's averaging 4.5 fouls a game just doesn't magically stop. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't magically stop. They got to do. They got to figure some out. Crowd going crazy. Rose checked in. That's awesome. Beasley might be more important if we play Golden State. Beasley would be great for Golden State.
Yes.
And he played great in the games against Golden State that we had. So again, that's why I want to get him going. Damn, Cavs are going to be held under 80 points. Wow. Welcome to the playoffs. Yeah, I feel that. Let's see. If I ever see guys that are worse at basketball analysts than you, I'll let you know. Okay, sure, buddy. Well, apparently I'm right because Darvin Ham isn't playing him. So hey, go take what you got. But anyway, yeah, everyone's an expert when they're sitting on their couch doing nothing. Everyone, it's hilarious. Everyone thinks that they deserve to be doing something, and you're working at McDonald's yelling at us. It's great. Go sit back on the couch and enjoy. But anyway, any parting words before we get on that?
I'm excited for game 3. I'm going to go ahead and call a point to win margin. I'm going to go 18 points. I'm going to say we get about like 18 points.
I can see that. Like I said, I really could see a 15-point victory. Like I really can. I really do. I really can. I think we get established early. I think guys show up. I think they're going to feed off the energy of the crowd. And I do. I really think that we're gonna see a really good game from this Lakers team. Oh, real quick, Christian just popped in. Want to show him some love. He's awesome. I know King James is the team player and not like Kobe, but I hope game 3 he takes the clown to school and the Lakers crowd goes crazy. I would love to see that. You know that they're going to be focused on that matchup without a doubt. You know that they're going to be locked in and really eyeing in on that. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I am. I'm really curious to see how that goes. I am the greatest chair coach. The wrench proves it. You are, Blucka. You're the greatest chair coach ever.
Oh, Blucka. Actually, for the first time ever, I don't even know which one it was, but there was an earlier Scream playing today, and I watched some of it. So I was like, hey, because it's my first time. I've seen like the newer ones, but I haven't seen like the older ones. And I was like, what? And Dewey was like all young, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, yo, it's crazy.
You're like, this is such a different world.
Well, yeah, everybody was young, and I was like, yo, this is weird. But I was like, yo, this is
great. But all right. That being said, like I said, I will. No shots tonight. No, not tonight. Well, I'll have the stream game, the game streamed, and then also the post game stream, and Dewey the better times. It was fast, but all right. That being said, thank you all, everyone, for hanging out with us. If you haven't liked the video, make sure to like the video on your way out. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel on your way out. I'd greatly appreciate that, or we would greatly appreciate that. Other than that, you guys are awesome. Let's go get a game 3 win. We need it.